This is Jeremy Wentworth-Stanley. I'm the fellow who has a hyphen in my name. The hyphen is silent, but I am anything but that. Respectonomics is introducing a new platform called The Living Journey. And The Living Journey is brought to you by Respectonomics, by Jeremy Wentworth-Stanley. I am your voice of Respectonomics. I am your year of Respectonomics, and therefore always welcoming your inputs and ideas. And what we want to do on The Living Journey is to be able to look at Respectonomics under one single heading, and that is, why would you want to be listening to this message? What is it in it? What's in it for you? And I'd like to start by talking about that individuals today in today's world are experiencing a number of behaviors. The list I'm going to go through is not complete, probably never will be. But I want to ask you as individuals if these are issues that confront you, that are in your lives, because if they are, Respectonomics wants to bring you the guides to looking at these issues in a way that we can be liberated to meet our potential, your potential, to be able to close the gap between what we are actually doing and what we're capable of doing. Respectonomics wants to bring you the tools. It wants to bring you I won't say the answers, because the answers lie more than anything with the individual. But let's take a look at the experiences that people are having today. This is part of a 7 or 8 part series. But first, what we're going to do is identify the problems that people encounter and what we can do, therefore, to confront them. We think in terms of suffering. We think of pain, hurt, fatigue, despair, jealousy, anxiety, anger, emptiness, hopelessness, sleeplessness, a sense of being unfulfilled, a sense of being let down, a sense of being abused, exploited, isolated, and discarded, and almost feeling like we're a unit on some unexplainable scale. And we feel lonely. This is not a complete list. And everyone will say, well, I have more of this and more of that, and there's more of other phases of behavior as well. But what we need to do is to understand one extraordinarily powerful point. These issues of, let's say, anger and emptiness, we are not going to be the therapist that says, here's how you deal with it. But what we're going to point out is this. If you summarize all of these issues into one word, which we're going to use anxiety, and you can say to me there are other words that will do that, but this is really to bring a point home. These issues of anxiety, of hurt and pain, they contribute to hiding and camouflaging and suppressing your talents and your potential, and indeed your purpose. In other words, these issues that are so uncomfortable and so endemic or pandemic, they're everywhere. These are issues that we need to confront. But not only do we need to confront, which is an exercise in therapy, but we also need to find ourselves liberated where we can cast off the shackles. Because in casting off the shackles and giving ourselves fresh insight, we can see the opportunity that lies within each and every human being. One of the great discoveries of Respectonomics is that everybody not only has a story to tell, that's been said many a time, but what is also true is this, and that is the incredible capacity, the incredible insights that exist within each and every person. Whether they are the CEO, whether they're on the production line, whether they're at the service counter, it doesn't matter. The human being is quite remarkable. Respectonomics, its basic principle is this, and that is to have faith in the dignity of the human being. Let's explore that for a minute. The faith in the dignity. The dignity of a human being is that sense of worth, that sense that we have extraordinary values. And that is what we mean when we say to dignify somebody, is to draw out their strengths, their convictions, their empowerments, but to draw them out and to show people to themselves the great value that they are, not only to themselves, but the value to society, value to civilization. We know that there's a great worth in each human being. And let's just talk about this expression, the human being. We want to make one statement, and that is that the word human is an adjective. It is not a noun. You hear people say, oh, well, humans do something or other. That is inaccurate. Human is an adjective. And what we are describing here is the human being. And the most important part of that combination of words, the human and the being, is that we exist, we are present, we are alive, we live, we thrive, and we have the capacity for hope. So the human being needs to be expressed very much in this context of we are, and we are capable, and we are potential, and we are the human being in whom this unique set of possibilities exists. So when we talk about the faith and the dignity of the human being, we're not saying that we can literally overcome the anger, the emptiness, the sense of being unfulfilled or jealousy and all those things. We're not literally saying that. But what we are pointing to is this, that those pains, those agonies, are the ones that have suppressed and repressed and contained and shackled our potential. Our issue is, the respectonomics issue is, we can provide, and we do provide, the tools to liberate people to see their tremendous value and their tremendous worth. That this is something that lies like a jewel within each and every person. And each and every person has this jewelry, this gemstone that can be brought out and can be shined. But the trouble is, so much of it is suffused, hidden, shadowed by these other issues we've talked about. Those issues we've talked about need therapy. They need to be adapted to, the individual needs to adapt to their own situation. We're not trying to become the therapist. We're not even qualified to be the therapist. But we are qualified to be able to bring you the senses of the great liberation that can exist within each and every human being, and to give you the tools, the keys to provide for that liberation. Liberation's a beautiful word. It gives you the sense of celebration. It gives you the sense of coming out of a place where one's been incarcerated. And if we have been incarcerated by anger, anxiety, jealousy, and hurt, if that is the case, then let us look at the other side of the ledger, the other side of the balance sheet, at the other side of the equation, and say, what are the strengths that we can bring to the table, that we can do this individually. We know that we are human beings. We know that because we are human and we are. In other words, we are being. It's absolutely worth it. If I have to make one comment about the human being is worth it. The human being is a value unto him or herself. The human being is value personified. And what we want to do is to re-express those values, re-express that potential, and to bring it out from underneath all of these other issues. These other issues have a history that we could talk about endlessly, whether it's from excessive government in our lives, whether it's from too much screen time, whether it's from too many cultural changes. Let's not go down that path. We can go on and on and on talking about how these problems, these difficulties have come into being. But what we can do, for which we have an individual responsibility, an individual conviction, is we can be the ones to liberate our strengths and to liberate our potential. There is no greater satisfaction than when we have exercised the values that are within us and taking them to their best and logical conclusion. That is when we personally, inherently, find the greatest satisfaction, where we can actually look up in the end of the day and say, hey, that was worth it. We keep coming back to the word worth. Each one of us is worth it. The human being is worth it. Each one of us has worth within us. And our deal is we want to dignify that worth. And we have this great faith in the dignity of the human being. This is a statement of mathematical proportions that we can validate empirically or scientifically. We're saying we have faith, that wonderful sense of you can't really see it, but you know it. And this is the faith and dignity of the human being, of the individual that we have. This process, the living journey, is designed to bring to each and every one of us the opportunity to break away from the pains and the suffering and the uglinesses that we seem to be confronting in our lives, and to be able to bring a fresh perspective and a fresh capacity to exercise the worth and the values that lie latently within each of us. Let me use an allegory that I think is helpful, and that is everyone knows the idea that personal resolution is, of course, a matter of choice. I can sit here and say, nope, let the world go by me, go by me. I'm going to experience the suffering and the pain. But I can also say, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to break away from that. I want to break out with what I'm intended to be. I want to reinvent, restate, enjoy. I want to put a pleasure back into my purpose in life. And in order to do that, we have to, as it were, flick the switch. We have to put the switch on. And if we put the switch on, which we've just done, we're all pressing the switch. Let's all agree we're doing that right now. We are flicking the switch, and the switch is on. And when the switch goes on, the light goes on. And when the light goes on, this is very important, the light goes on, and we then see this inner part of ourselves that if we can't see it, there's a mirror that can see it. And you might say to yourself, well, if I can't see it, how can the mirror see it? Because the mirror is the people represented by the people with whom we live and coexist. They may be our partners. They may be spousally so. They may be parental. They may be biological. There can be 100 ways in which we cooperate and coexist with other individuals. Those other individuals can be our mirrors. And that mirror will only be able to reflect what's going on in us if there's light on in us. So we need to turn the light on, hold the mirror up, which is our friends, and our friends, our compatriots, and so on, our colleagues, and start asking them to help us to see what are the strengths that are within us. Most of us get caught up in the sort of hidden secrets or the shame. No, we're looking to say, here's my mirror, here's the mirror, here's my light. I've got my light shining on me. And what I want you to do is to start telling me about my strengths. I want to hear them from you. I want you to be my mirror. It's often said in marriages that we can hear uncomfortable things because the other partner is a mirror and they can reflect to us maybe things we don't want to hear. But we're saying, yes, we do want to hear these things because we're shining the light. We know these strengths are within us, these values are within us, this worth is within each of us. And we need the mirror to be able to shine it back into our lives so that we can then start working on it. Now, if you have light, I'm going to finish up on this one. We're going to be working on these I think it's seven, yep, 7 subjects for the next few weeks. And it goes like this, that if you have light coming into your life, you may remember from school days the laws of physics, that light, white light, can be divided into prismatically, can be divided into the different waves of light and different colors. That's the job of respectonomics. Respectonomics is saying, you've turned on the light. You've held the mirror up to your friends, your colleagues, who are helping you to identify those strengths that are within you. What we're going to do is divide that light into its component parts, into its, what you might call its subtexts. Divide the light that you're shining into your life and putting that light into your lives in a way that gives you more insight into your capacity, into your potential. Let's just take a look at them. The old school time projection in physics was that if you had light, it could be divided into these seven subsets with different wavelengths, different colors. And you may remember the acronym ROIGBIV: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Those are the colors of the prism that emanate from the white light. Respectonomics is your prism. Let's look at each of those colors. The R, which was theoretically stood for the red, stands for respect. We need to see the respect that we can develop not only towards you, but you can develop towards you. We look at O, which is the orange, which is in fact the openness, that we want to be open. We want to be able to, for the mirror to see clearly within us. The Y, the yellow, that's you. And that's a very important point. We're talking about you. We're talking about you who have this new sense of respect, this new sense of openness. And then we look at G, which stands for growth. We're looking to grow these capacities, to grow this potential, to grow this creativity that lies within each and of us. The B stands for break loose. We're going to break loose. We're going to liberate ourselves from the, let's call it roughly, the suppression that exists in our lives. And we're going to break loose from that. We are going to be liberated. We're going to be set free. There's a very interesting word. You may have heard the word to be blessed. To be blessed in Greek is makarios. And that means maka, which means in the big sense, in the big way. Maka, we see that word in macro. But the harios part of it is fascinating because that means the siege has been lifted. We want to lift the siege of these things that are the helplessness, the abuse, the exploitation, all of those things that confront us and seem to be around us. And we all say, how on the earth am I going to deal with that? We can be set free. We can have this sense of being set loose, breaking loose. We can, in fact, be blessed. And to be able to be blessed is one of the greatest human being issues or human qualities. We can be very clear on that we all long to be blessed, but to be blessed with good health and to be blessed with good prospects, to be blessed with great friends and children and families and so on. It's a place to be. We want that blessing that is maka in every respect, and harios, meaning we are lifting the siege. Then we come to the I. Now, we just said a moment ago that the Y stood for you. The I stands for I, because what we need here is you and I to be collaborating. The days of looking over at each other or anybody in a sense of jealousy is done, because it is you and I that need to come together. There is so much evidence that when two people come together and work well together, that the results are exponential. So we need this prism to be able to show you not only the lights of respect and openness and the you and the growth and the breaking loose, but we also need it to be you and I, that we are going to do this together, and that each of us can hold up like a railway line, that I can be the parallel track to you, you can be the parallel track to me. Respectonomics needs to be part of that you and I process so that we can bring the train successfully from the platform where you are now to the journey that you have in mind. That's why we call it the living journey, because we are now resetting our destination. And V, the last color, the last one in the prism. V is for victory. It is time for us to claim and to reclaim and to re-augment the victory in our lives. The days of repression, suppression, depression, whatever you want to call them, they're done. We are going to drink in the concept of victory. We're going to look at the way that we become victorious, not necessarily by going to these painful issues and dealing with them. We can do that. But what greater victory can we have when we take our own potential, our own self-worth, our own value, our own dignity, our own respect, and we present it to ourselves and to the world at large, to our colleagues and friends, to the nation. We present a victorious image that we are individually human beings. We are designed to be victorious. We have the tools to be victorious. And we no longer are going to allow the camouflage and the anxieties and the hidden pains to be the ones that contain us. I want to summarize one thing. We're going to be looking at each of these waves, each of these microwaves, if you will, of light, the respect and the openness and you and growth, break loose, the victory. We're going to be looking at each of those individually in the next several podcasts. We are available to come and talk with you at any time, well, not any time, to come and talk with you, and we can do it remotely, we can do it in person. Jeremy@respectonomics.com. This is a vital message. It is time for us to come out of ourselves and to produce that inner self that was always meant to be the one that was going to claim the victory. If we're going to do that, I want to leave you with one thought. We've looked at these colors of the prism, the Roigbiv, the red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet. We've looked at those. Let me remind you that a rainbow is made up of a prism. It is the prism created by one beautiful raindrop that breaks the light into these component parts. But let's remember one thing. If we take one of those colors out of the prism, out of the rainbow, the whole rainbow collapses. So we're looking at this as being totally integrated, where we can look at respect and growth and victory and breaking loose, bringing it all into one beautiful color. We can do it. We have the tools. We have the teamwork behind us. We have the creativity and the originality to bring these new colors into your life that together will create a sense of prosperity, a sense of joy, a sense of hope, and a sense that we are creating a legacy, the likes of which maybe nobody thought we could have actually done. Yes, we can, because it's within each one of us, and we're going to take it from its so-called resting place and bring it to the surface so that people can enjoy it and you can enjoy it as much as anybody else has ever done. This is Jeremy Wentworth-Stanley, your voice of Respectonomics. Your year. I'd love to hear back from you. And Jeremy@respectonomics.com is the place where you can land with your comments. Thank you so much for listening.